Hey everyone, welcome back. This is Cray Shep, and we're going to be continuing on with our series of Software Inc. Last time we left off, we were looking at kind of our reviews for our recent product. It looks like that was received pretty well. So, yeah, definitely a good review there. So, we're going to continue on. I'm going to speed up the day, get to the next day. Now, last time, remember we were talking about the fact that employees wind up taking vacation. So because our core team is scheduled for vacation in July, they're all gone as well as our marketing team. So not too many people are going to be in the office right now. Now, I do have the month set only for 2 days, so it's not going to be all that long. It's getting a little dirty, actually. I don't want to hire a full-time cleaner because it's kind of a drain on your resources, but you can call them the cleaners, the IT support. You can call them kind of on a once-off basis. So I'm going to go down here to manage staff, and temporary under here we're going to call the cleaning folks. So you could make permanent staff. You've got your permanent IT support, where I think they basically just sit in the lobby of your building. They don't really have an office, which is kind of amusing, coming from an IT background. So we'll let the cleaning folks come in and do their thing. While everyone's on vacation, we'll see if we can't pull down a quick contract. Let's take a look here. Mediocre. Okay, so here's a bad required quality. It's really actually not that much money. They've been kind of cutting back a little bit, it looks like. Why don't we go ahead and pick up this mediocre logistics application contract? That should not be all that difficult. It does come in unassigned, so I'm going to assign it to the core team. And it was unassigned because I have, at this point, I've got multiple teams, so it doesn't automatically assign the project to anyone at this point. And under contracting, there's nowhere to sort of force that assignment. Alright, so we're going to let our founder do a little bit of solo work here. We'll speed up the gameplay. I think what I'm going to do over the next couple of months in game is work on a couple contracts, get back up to about $50,000, and probably expand outwards a little bit and add some more members to our team. We want to take on another software development title. Probably going to do, if we take a look here under the types of software, going to go back down to CMS, and more than likely I'd like to do a workflow piece of software. And by hiring more people, we would be able to do more customization options, which then increases the popularity of your product, but it also increases the time invested. So we won't add too many things, but I do want to have that expected interest pretty high up there, and so every time you add a new feature, it's increasing that expected interest, as you can see there. So now here we are with almost like all of the options picked, and that's a 7-person team, and it would take more than a year estimated by the game here. So we're not going to go that crazy. And I was distracted and I let this design get way far ahead. So I'm going to go ahead and send this into development stage. And when the team gets here in the morning, they will go ahead and finish up this contract. And we will move on to new adventures. Perfect. Alright, so that's already finished up. We'll go ahead and just grab a couple other contracts here, probably back to back. They shouldn't be all that hard for our wonderful team. So we'll send this over to the core team. Get them working on those 3 products equally so they kind of split their time between it. And again, you do notice here that Dolores, who is our dedicated programmer, not doing much. But that's because we do have their role set to programmer specifically. So they're only going to do work for their team when there's programming to do. Basically because they can't design anything. Pretty sure if Dolores tried to get involved in the designing process, she would just break everything. She would not connect the dots. Chaos, cats and dogs living together, that sort of thing. So send this into development. Dolores is now at work. Now I have someone recommended taking a look at the mods for this game, and I have kind of browsed through those a little bit. I'm not really familiar with the mods for Software Inc. yet. I'm not really sure. I assume some of the newer mods were up to date, so I think we're on like release 0.0, like 1.01. There was a hotfixed release just a couple days ago. The mods are really great though. Some of them add a whole additional set of options, like for example, instead of developing software, you're going to be developing hardware. So you would be, the equivalent of, maybe you want to, be the next best NVIDIA. You're, making new graphics cards. One of the other mods added a ton of additional customization options. So if you've got a computer, say you're making a game, tons more options here as well. So I'm not sure what that's going to do for the balance of the game. I would like to push through, and unless there's a small mod that doesn't change too much, but I don't want to kind of start a brand new mod that might break anything or make severe changes to the Let's Play so far. So we're going to push through this. I'm going to get more familiar with it. I'd like to get a pretty big company, and once we have that successful, I might branch out into trying some different mods. But the game has come along a long way. I remember playing this in early alpha and did not have this level of depth to it at all. And it's very exciting to see how much this game has developed since then. This contract here, it's recommending it's going to take 3 months. It's a $30,000 contract. I'm wondering if it's going to punish us because we have more people available to us. I would like to try it just to see how long this might take us, because this could give us quite a boost in terms of finances and give us enough money to expand our office out a little bit, hire some more people, and then really focus on a new product without having to worry about contracts later on. I think we're missing Brain. I think they called out today. Yeah, they're out sick. Now, again, part of that calling out sick, taking vacation, that's based off of the diligent trait. So what this indicates really is that Brain probably won't do that all that often. They have a pretty high diligence score. I think actually all of our employees have that as well. Yep. And of course your founder basically does not eat, sleep. I mean, they go home, they probably just stare at the wall and wait until work the next day. So your founder, you really can exploit that founder early game, especially if they get solid leadership traits. Right now, our leadership trait, I normally play with the either generous and I think was it positive? I can't see the options here anymore. Oh, here we go. Optimistic and introvert. So I've got it set to introvert. I normally play with the default, which I think is generous and optimistic. When I do that playthrough, or when I play with that sort of personal traits, the leadership score is much higher. So maybe the leadership score is based off of those personality traits. I'm not 100% sure. I could just test that by jumping in and making a new character. But either way, like I said, I'm not going to be using him too much as a leader because there's really good quality all around the board. This person can work with all the different projects. So looks like we are a couple months here into development, actually just the first month. And yeah, look, we're getting some more fan recognition. Our popular software release here, Ubank, now we're up to 223 active users, which is pretty great. Still haven't really cut into the profit. We haven't cut into the cost of what it took to make this product yet, but really we're doing that for the recognition to get our name out there. And honestly, that's probably my fault because I didn't get the marketing team involved early enough. I only brought a marketing team in really close to the launch. So our contract here, it looks like we're ready to move into the programming stage. And Brian's going to take a break, and Dolores is going to get to work along with our founder on doing some of the coding. And we've got 2 months left on this contract, and we're definitely going to get this done ahead of time, which is nice. So didn't take all that much time. We're still in the first year. I don't think I've seen any research come up yet. Yeah, there's not much that comes up. I think the larger stuff comes in here about thinking like 1985, I think, is one of the first options that comes in. Take a look real quick. Yeah, so the better computers don't come until the 90s, and then we get some a hollow computer. It's pretty fancy. So yeah, some of these options aren't grayed out to us. I'm sure some of the mods that are available just add a lot more in terms of furniture, in terms of soft or pieces of hardware, equipment, and accessories. So I will eventually take a look at those, as long as it makes sense. So I guess if it doesn't interfere with the timeline, as long as we've not backtracked, I think I might add a couple things that add some more options as far as maybe equipment, decorations, things like that. So it looks like when our team gets back, they will be ready to finish the product, so we'll go ahead and skip ahead. I apologize if it's kind of hard to keep track. I know I do bounce between the slow and fast speeds, normally based on where we're at in our project schedule. So leave me a comment if you want me to slow down or anything like that. Eventually, once we get more set into a rhythm, I'll probably leave it on 3 longer term. Okay. And there was our product, $27,000 from finishing it, and about $1,000 for starting that contract. So we're sitting pretty. We're looking at $72,000. Definitely enough to sustain us for a while. If I take a look here at our, what am I looking for? Here we go. Just normal finances, I believe. Where is the normal finances? Loans, stocks. Oh, it's going to be under here, monthly profits. Okay, so a lot of information here. I normally just take a quick look at the ledger. In terms of salaries, it looks like we're paying about $11,000 every month. So that will cut into our amount right here. It's quite a bit. I know I've got, more than likely it was that, yeah, the marketer that I brought on for about $3,000 or $4,000 a month. So 3 employees that we're paying $11,000. Add 2 more, and it looks like that'll be around $20,000 every month. So that will be quite a bit. We're only paying about $1,500 a month in bills to keep this place running. So if we do expand this building, those bills will go up just a little bit to, well, I guess if we, yeah, it will go up because we're going to be using additional computers. So we'll take a look at doing that. Okay, we'll probably rearrange some of the desks and things like that. I know there is an optimal size for the rooms. I'm going to try to avoid min-maxing a little bit. You know, think about a small software company that's just starting out. Yeah, they'll just knock the wall down, add an addition, and go from there. When you add 2 rooms next to each other and you want to make them one room, you can hold down Shift while clicking. And you can see here the green outline has highlighted both the rooms when I shift-click. And that right-click context menu, you'll want to do merge rooms, and it kills that wall in between, and then this is sort of one big room. So we're going to adjust a little bit here. Yeah, I think what we'll do, we'll have them kind of face-to-face here. A little walkway in between. And that way we could probably set up this group maybe closer to this side. Didn't like that I grabbed the computer instead. Okay. And from here, then we'll make sure they still have some pretty plants to look at. Alright, so we'll go ahead and duplicate a couple of these desks. Because I want to bring in at least another, I don't want to go too crazy right off the bat. I may only bring in another designer and programmer right away, and then next time, the next big, I guess, push for expansion, I'll probably bring in a team lead, because the team leader can boost the effectiveness of your group up quite a bit, and it's definitely good to have. I just don't know if it'd be worth it to have this early on, so that's something we'll take a look at a little bit later. Alright, and we'll add a couple more windows here. Perfect. Yeah, other than that, I think our marketers doing fine by themselves. We don't want to go overboard with marketing because really we're not expecting to make a ton of money off these software products. Normally you get eventually to the point where you make your first big release, say, which would probably be for us is going to be an office software with a lot of options in it. that's probably going to net us a good chunk of money. But at the moment, we're still kind of playing a little bit easy. We're going with just small projects to get our team some experience, to get our name out there, and things like that. So let's take a look at what our specializations are. So Dolores, a little bit more 2D than system in terms of coding. And of course, our main person is a little bit more system than 2D. So I guess at this point, whatever we find that really meshes with our team would be a good option. So let's take a look. We won't even do, I guess we'll do system for the moment, because generally speaking, more of your software products will be system than 2D requirements. So we're going to max that out to about 4,000 and give it a pretty good search here for the most amount of people in our interview process. So yeah, a lot of good young, high quality coders here. We've got some good mixes, we've got some great mixes, more flirts for the office. I'm going to take Regina, it's a small town in Canada. 43 and 53, a little bit older. 43 really should get a good amount of years off of that person. Their 2D skill is really weak though, and their system isn't quite as good. Now, the big thing here, I don't know, we've got this overall skill, so this is sort of their overall skill at coding. But when you look at the specialization, sometimes they can have a really high base skill, but very small specialization skill. So I'm not sure if that really hinders them or if it doesn't have that much of an effect. So again, something to keep an eye on over time. Thaddeus here, 29 years old, really good specialization skills, only really useful as a coder, not a designer. So we're going to wind up restricting his role to only programmer. It could help on the art part, which is kind of nice. So that means when a project hits the coding stage, and they need an artist, he'll be able to pitch in. His personality traits here aren't really all that great, but at the same time, we don't necessarily need any leadership on him. And at least aptitude means he'll learn kind of quickly. And diligence, he's kind of an average employee. So I think I'll go ahead and check Etta real quick because she's the next highest. And she has really good aptitude, but very low 2D comparatively. And she does have some audio skill, which may come in handy, but I think for the moment, let's go ahead and pick up Thaddeus because he is really young. If we eventually need him to be better at audio, we can send him off to school to go study sound drivers and everything like that and figure out how to make them work right. So he'll be able to get some education. And then we also want to take a look at our designers real quick. So that's Brain, who is strong in system, not so much in 2D. And our founder, who is, in terms of designing, looks like they're pretty even. So maybe we can bring in someone who's a little bit better at designing 2D software. A little bit up, and we'll do the specialization. We'll keep that unchecked, and we'll do it for the top couple candidates. I don't want to necessarily double the cost of this. Not really too stingy, but at the same time, we are looking to save money whenever we can. So let's take a look at Julie, 22 years old. Good overall skill with designing. I think we just mentioned it was we were a little bit weaker in 2D as opposed to not. So let's see. Let's go down. I really like to have good compatibility because I think the more you add people into the group, the bigger the chances for disagreements to happen, and then the effectiveness goes down. So you really want that group compatibility to be pretty high. Unfortunately, there's no one who's great that has amazing skill. So it kind of comes down to, do we want someone who's great compatibility and average skill, or kind of better skill and maybe just they'll blend in well with the team. Reggie here has really good diligence and leadership traits. Wouldn't be bad to have them as a leader eventually, but you don't really find that high of a leadership trait. But their leadership skill is super low, so we would have to send them off to get specialized training, and at age 52 that might not be the best investment. So we'll go ahead and organize it again by skill. Take a look at Jefferson Nash here, 22. Again, a little weak on 2D, but they do have some coding skills, which could be nice to have. I think we'll look at maybe one more person here. Let's give Hiram Griffin. Well, if we're looking at 47, let's just go to Alexis. Kind of average. Pretty positive skills across the board. 38. Yeah, let's go ahead and pick up Julie, because Julie, even her worst 2D is still better than some of these folks down here. So Julie, the average, pretty decent with the design. Base skill, pretty average with traits. So we'll go ahead and bring her onto the team. So 2 new employees. They won't start until the 2nd day in October. So what we'll do is, let's go ahead and figure out what we want to release for our next project and get it lined up. So that way, once the new 2 employees come into the work, they'll know exactly what to start on. Okay, so we're going to start with a workflow type of content management system. So we're thinking more, I believe, logistics possibly, or things of that nature. So we start off with file management. I think we want to have... This doesn't really add any artists, which is nice. It adds a high innovation score, high usability. Strongly increases the expected interest, and it doesn't really need artists, so I think I definitely want that. Now anything you see here, of course, is dependent on what it's linked to. So the stats feature is linked to the GUI. Work delegation is linked to user hierarchy. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. This only changes. Now, it's weird. I don't quite know why we're getting sort of, not necessarily punished, but if we enable user hierarchy, the innovation score is going down. So maybe that means that somewhere out there, another company has made a workflow program already using user hierarchy. That might be why the innovation is low. So I guess it's almost like if someone comes out with, I don't know, ribbons for using, like a word processor that uses a ribbon type of menu system like the Home tab or the Edit tab or View tab. That's not really being all that innovative because, hey, Word already did that or Microsoft already did that. So that makes sense to me. That might be why it's giving us that mark. Work delegation brings us a good 20% higher. Recommended team size 5. Again, we're going to have at this point 5 core members, 2 programmers, 2 designers, and our jack of all trades. So this might be good. No artists really required. I do like staying away from that. QA lets us get away with the higher price, but it does add a member on the team. I think we'll just go ahead and keep it as this for now. This should be doable within a couple months without taking too big of a hit. I think we are going to get pretty low in terms of finances because of paying salaries, but what we'll do is pick up a couple contracts to make sure we're still paying the bills. All right, so let's see. Our first software was named Ubank. CMS, I guess Uorg perhaps might be a random acceptable title here. Not very original, but I would like to keep that U theory or that U style going. So I think we'll talk about source control management here in just a bit. It will require a little bit of an investment, but not too bad. So at the moment, we're going to start this development. Now, it is offering us to pre-market or, sort of pre-advertise Uorg this early. I'm going to stay away from that because, that's a lot of money we're putting down. Although I haven't messed with this too much, we could start this and have a very small budget. So this is the maximum amount. I believe it's in a day. It could be a day or a month. But this is the maximum amount you're authorizing the marketing team to spend while marketing your product. So if we tell the marketing team, hey, we only want to spend, $1,000 every day marketing this program, they'll get to that $1,000 mark and then stop. That might be the better option as opposed to giving an infinite amount where they just do as much as they can every day. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. We'll put it to the marketing team. They'll just start putting their feelers out. I'm going to just kind of click and drag. Now you can drag these anywhere you want. I just do it to help with with sort of organization. You also can disable and enable certain things. So if you don't want to see anything in marketing, we can uncheck that. But because we're such a small company and we've only got these products going, we'll leave it as is. So in terms of that source control management system, what that's telling you, or what that option is giving you, you basically have a server. It's one server in your building. It's connected by LAN to all of your computers. And what this does is it allows your programmers to be more efficient because all of the data is going into this one server. It's not exactly how the real world would work, but it is a pretty good representation of it. So what we're going to do is we're going to tuck a little server room between the design team and the marketing team, or sorry, our core team and marketing. Just a small little shack here, really. I mean, that's kind of what you'd expect a small company to have. This really dank closet for the servers, which is kind of what I've encountered in my time. So we'll go ahead and we'll put down a table, and we'll look under server. And it's the most basic server here. It's a small server. The bandwidth will come into play later. We don't really need that right now. But as it stands, we now have a server, and everyone in our office can use it. But we do need to make sure that the server room doesn't basically overheat and catch fire. So I'm going to purchase a bit of, now we could do industrial ventilation, which doesn't provide as much cooling as, say, an AC unit would, but it requires less electricity to operate, and it's cheaper in general. For the moment, just to see how it does, I'm going to put a little ventilation, an industrial ventilation fan in here. And really, we're not going to have to heat this room because the server on its own makes plenty of heat. And we'll put a light in here for whenever our IT folks need to come in and fix the server. I like how it's just like one lone sad server in a room. All right, so now that we have our server, we can go under the server tab. We'll go ahead and rename this. I think we'll stick with maybe, we'll do some Lord of the Rings or Hobbit names. So I think we'll stick with Thorin for the moment. So we'll rename our first server Thorin. Now, you see here the load percentage. Right now we have 0 load because no one's using the server. We haven't actually assigned anything to the server. When we first started our software, you saw this option here for SCM. This would only sort of be used during the coding phase, not the design phase. So because I didn't select this, we will have to remember to manually assign Thorin to this project once we hit our development cycle. So we'll go ahead and leave this be for now. There's also something about distribution. We'll take a look here. So I believe what this basically is saying, I'm not 100% sure. I think this is basically simulating you owning your own distribution store or your own distribution method. You can create your own distribution channel by using your servers in your office. I think if you want to think of this as similar to, I guess, if you go to a company's website and you buy their game, you can download it right from their servers, as opposed to going to Steam, for example. So let's take a look here. Popularity, PlayStop. It is a physical store, so PlayShop. This might be the equivalent of Steam, although it doesn't really have enough popularity, really. So it is not a physical store, but it's pretty popular, and there's it's an active distribution channel. So we have a deal with PlayShop that basically says, hey, you advertise our software, you not advertise, you allow people to get our software from your service, and we will pay you 9% of the revenue. So that's the deal we have right now. It looks like, let me take a look at our active deals. We only have online, which is weird because I don't think in the game the internet is even a thing right now. But I think with the word store, maybe that's similar to just sort of a, what's the term I'm thinking of? Completely blanking. But when you basically have your product, you've designed it, you've marketed it, you've created it, published. There we go. So these are equivalent of publishers. They box your product, and then I don't know, they send it to people's homes. Not really sure how it's working when it's not a physical store and there's no internet yet, but either way. We also could make a deal right now to get our product out there, because really, you know, they would cut into our revenue, but our product would be out there. So that's a big cut. I think I almost want to take Mist Market because it is a physical store, but it's 10% less in terms of what the revenue is asking for. So we'll just do this for now. We'll make a deal with Mist Market. We could make our own distribution channel. I may even do that later once we have more servers, because we will wind up running, especially if our product is popular, we will run into some bandwidth issues. So we'll go ahead and wait for the next day to start. We'll see what our team starts to do. All right. So here we are. It looks like our new employees have fit in pretty well. Now, there was someone who was a programmer, but they were bad at design. So let's take a look. This should be Dolores. Yeah, she's a programmer. So let's see. Julia is a designer, so she's doing the right thing. Now, Julia has no skill in coding, so we're going to take away the any job item, and she's only a designer. And then I also believe you are new, Mr. Thaddeus. And so Thaddeus is really only a programmer. So you can see the design skills are very low. So we will take off that option as well. So they're only going to be programming. Now I know it really hurts to kind of see these people not doing much of anything. As your team gets bigger and bigger, you wind up in a place where you can juggle multiple contracts at once or multiple projects. So once this UORG program hits the development phase, we could immediately start designing another piece of software because the designers won't have anything to do. Unfortunately, we don't really have anything to code right now, so we're just going to have to watch them being lazy and suffer through it. So let's go ahead and speed up to 3 for a bit. Oh, actually, it looks like Ubank, I want to take a look at Ubank. Our net on Ubank has gone up a bit, so let's see. Yeah, if we remember a while ago here, we checked and it was like negative 20,000 in profit. So we are making some money. Our marketing team is basically plastering this bad boy all over the place. I don't really know if it makes sense to keep marketing or if it's only going to cut into sort of your profits. Very interesting. This is a trade IP, so we could basically sell this to someone else if we wanted to. But we won't do that. We'll go ahead and just keep our product going. I wonder where it stands here in the major list of items. CMS releases. So here we are, Ubank. Yeah, we're getting up there. We're gonna break into the thousands, I think, for sure. Here's our main competitor for workflow. It's this 2D viewer from Fringe Reality. We will catch up to you because you released a bad product. It's old product, yes. Yeah, we'll catch up to them, no problem. We'll make it happen. Our team here is designing a wonderful CMS product. It's going to overwhelm the market. It's going to be great. So I'm going to let this run on the highest speed for a couple days. Looks like we're starting to see some snowflakes. We're moving into winter. And we'll just keep letting our design team do their thing. And this is pretty good pace. I don't think we're going to hit a major issue of funding. It looks like they're doing... I have to check and see when we started this project. Oh, one thing I've not even mentioned at all. With the advent of the most... I think it was Alpha 8 when they added this. There are now mini games to help your product in the design and programming phase. I've not even touched on that. I'm not a huge fan, but I will show you just in case you want to try it out. I mean, it's really good for those starting projects. Really, it would be good for this project because it is a brand new project. We'll go ahead and start it up. So to get to these, you hover over your project, and it's this little clock indicator here, and this is the mini game. So for the design phase, we have a mini game where we basically connect boxes, and these boxes have a number in it. Each time you connect 2 boxes, the number in each box reduces by 1. You then have to connect other boxes to this group and lower the box count down to 0. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense when I say it like that, but you'll see here as we go. I have more trouble with this than not, so let's see here. A 2 and a 2 goes down to a 1 and a 1. All right. And really, I'm not going to have too much time to explain it. I'll probably just buzz through it pretty quickly here. So 2 and a 2. You can use the same box more than once, which is nice. So now we're going to pick it up just a bit. And the goal here is to make sure you get all these boxes. Oh, there's one hiding behind itself. Oh, I screwed that up. We're doomed. We're doomed, I tell you. Okay. We totally were. All right, so we'll go ahead and move these over. I wonder if it's more challenging based on quality of the software or the difficulty. Oh, man. Got it. Uh-oh. Oh, totally messed that up as well. These minigames stress me out. I'm definitely not good at this. There is a typing one for the programming phase, which is a lot easier in my view. But yeah, clicking the boxes too quick for me. Oh man, I already messed that up. Quick. It's the 3s that get me. And right in the middle of our little minigame, it is the new year, so we've got some employees who are negotiating a couple raises. This is both Dolores and Brain. They've been here with us the longest, and Dolores is only asking for a small amount, and so yeah, we'll accept that. Brain, you know, you're not that great. Come on now. Give him a little bit. I do like to try to accept those when I can, but not by leaps and bounds. You don't want to... I'm assuming there's an underlying system that sort of says, well, hey, if they got a promotion, I'd like a promotion or I'd like a raise. So every December at the end of the year, you'll start seeing those negotiations come through. All right, so we could go back to the mini game. I think I'm going to pass on it for just a moment, and we'll go ahead and take a look at our project. Our marketing team is doing good. They're sort of marketing both of these. Oh, man. Now, this is interesting because the net profit of Ubank, originally, I think it was like $11,000. I'm wondering if we're actually hindering more than helping by leaving the marketing going. No, because we're definitely in the green now. Ubank has finally paid off. If we cut everything away, we can see the sales. So here's the only thing we were really selling at the time was Ubank. So looks like it peaked in November. I'm going to go ahead and end the marketing at this point. I think we've hit our, the most we're going to get out of that software. Maybe the word of mouth will continue to go, or maybe our existing marketing will be enough. But we'll go ahead and stop the Ubank marketing because we are coming out with this UORG. We want our marketing team to really hype that up and get that product out there. So yeah, we're moving along. We should, I think, within the next month or so, be ready to move into the development stage, and we will switch this over to Thorin, our SCM server. Checking on a couple of the statuses of the computers. Not too bad. 70% condition you see down here. That's fair. Oh, one other thing, I think, yeah, I kind of didn't get this right. Because we have more desks, we've got more of these little accessories on the side. Now, is anyone's desk actually assigned to them? So Dolores is assigned to this computer, I think because Dolores is our programmer. So what we'll do the next day, when our team comes in, we'll see where the other programmer goes, we'll permanently assign them to that desk, and then we'll switch out the accessories for the inbox because it's a little bit better. So I think this is Well, this is Dolores. Where's our other program? I'm probably getting some coffee. Here we go. Perfect. They'll be in the same spot across the aisle. They can talk programming. They can share in the joy of C++ or Python, or, well, at that point, gosh. God, I didn't know what was back that day. Debian, I believe? I'm not sure. Alright, so we'll go ahead and assign Mr. Thaddeus to his software, his computer here. And at that point, anyone else in our office will make better use of the inbox than they will with this calculator. So we'll quickly switch this over. And we'll buy these inboxes here. Excuse me. Okay. So really these folks can sort of interswap between the desks and it won't really have an effect. So I think what we're going to do, we'll go ahead and wait for the development phase to hit coding. And I'll go ahead and end the video and we'll continue on with our next chapter in the unique software company story. Perfect. We've hit the outstanding quality mark. I'm going to go ahead and send this to development phase. And right away I'm going to switch the server assignment to Thorin so that all of our coders are using Thorin. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and end here. Again, thank you all for watching. I do appreciate it. And tune in shortly and we'll be able to continue on in part 4 of our series.